Buried 2,000 feet inside a mountain in Colorado is a fully functional city. One with its own water and power supply, a fully functioning hospital, and blast doors built to survive nuclear war. That part is real. What's strange is everything they won't tell us. Why do maps feel incomplete? Why do former workers talk about deeper levels? And why are so many people convinced that there is so much more lurking deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain? Officially, Cheyenne Mountain is just a military base, a relic of the Cold War, built at a time when the world stood one mistake away from nuclear war. Construction began in 1961. Engineers drilled nearly a mile into solid granite, carving out massive chambers the size of office buildings. By 1966, the US government had built something no one had ever seen before, an underground fortress designed to survive the end of the world. It housed NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, the group responsible for detecting incoming missiles and defending North America from attack. The facility could seal itself shut, generate its own power, filter its own air, and house hundreds of people for months. It wasn't just protected, it was self-sustaining. And while the official story claims it was simply a command center, the deeper you look into how it was designed, the more the truth becomes harder to explain. If this facility was designed to survive the end of the world, then what exactly were they expecting to protect inside it? A command center? Or something much bigger? Something closer to an entire city. Here's what we do know about Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the part of the story that's grounded in public records, engineering, and Cold War history. Inside a mountain more than 9,500 feet high, deep underneath 2,000 feet of solid granite, lies an underground fortress like no other. It isn't just one building. It's 15 three-story steel structures. Each one doesn't sit directly on top of rock. Instead, it's rested on a massive shock-absorbing system. Over 1,000 industrial-grade springs that suspend the buildings. These springs allow the complex to flex, even if the mountain shakes or an explosion rocks the surface. The designers built this place to outlast the worst humanity can throw at it. It was engineered to survive a 30-megaton nuclear blast nearby. Massive blast doors, sealed valves, radiation-proof filters. It has everything. Inside, the complex was more than just a command center. It was a self-contained underground city by design. For decades, the base served as a home to NORAD, monitoring missile threats, foreign aircraft, space objects, and ensuring continental defense. Even today, though operations have scaled down and some functions moved elsewhere, the mountain remains maintained and operational as an alternative command center and training facility. That's the official story. A hardened Cold War bunker, cold, pragmatic, built to protect. But once you see how thoroughly it was built, you can't help but wonder what may truly lurk deep beneath this mountain. Is there a hidden city much larger and far more advanced than we are led to believe? For everything we're told about Cheyenne Mountain, there's even more that we're not. The facility's design is public, but its operations are not. The deeper you look, the more the story becomes incomplete. For starters, no one outside the military knows exactly how much of the complex is still active. Officials call it a support station. But when pressed for details, like what systems are running, how fast it can be sealed, how many people it can shelter, the answers become vague. Blueprints of the complex exist, but they only show the upper levels. Former contractors have hinted at additional floors, deeper ones, built during the Cold War and never discussed again. There's also the question of its infrastructure. The known power plant, water reservoirs, and filtration systems seem oversized for the personnel numbers we're given, almost as if the complex was designed to support more people than anyone emits. Even the tunnels leading into the mountain raise questions. Officially, only a handful exist. Yet during construction, crews reported multiple access shafts, ventilation tunnels, and passages that never appeared in final documentation. It may be standard procedure for classified projects, but a project this big leaves many questions unanswered. Journalists who have toured portions of the facility describe entire wings marked with restricted signs, doors they were not allowed to approach, sections where escorts quietly said, "We don't go that way." And then there's the strange fact that every few years the facility receives sudden, unannounced upgrades, multi-million-dollar refurbishments that are quickly written off as routine maintenance. The truth is simple. There's what we know, and then there's what's intentionally hidden. In the space between those two things is where the mystery of Cheyenne Mountain really begins. On paper, Cheyenne Mountain is simple. A Cold War bunker, a backup headquarters, nothing more. But when you look closer, the official story starts to fall apart. For one thing, the scale doesn't match the explanation. The complex was built to house more than 1,000 personnel. Yet today, we're told it's barely used. Why keep an entire underground city running if no one needs to survive inside it? Then there's the construction itself. Engineers carved 700,000 tons of granite from the mountain, a scale far beyond what was required for NORAD's listed operations. During excavation, documentation mentioned multiple access shafts, ventilation routes, and support tunnels, many of which no longer appear on modern diagrams. Were they sealed, abandoned, or repurposed into something deeper? Even on the record, officials admit that visitors only see a fraction of the facility. A fraction of what exactly? The upgrades raise even more questions. In 2015, the Pentagon quietly invested nearly $1 billion to move critical operations back into Cheyenne Mountain. Not because it was nostalgic, but because it was one of the few places hardened against an EMP or cyber-based attack. But details of what they were protecting remain classified. Every few years, the complex receives new funding, communications infrastructure, hardened electronics, advanced filtration, and continuity improvements. For a bunker that's supposedly obsolete, it's aging suspiciously well. And that's the strangest part.
The air battle planned by NORAD in the first place.
If this is what they built in the 1960s, what could they build today? Because of the technology behind Cheyenne Mountain, the shock-mounted buildings, the blast-proof infrastructure, the self-contained ecosystem was revolutionary 6 decades ago.
An exercise embracing the men and machines of NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command.
Now imagine the same concept, scaled up with modern engineering, deeper tunnels, larger chambers, more advanced shielding. Entire subterranean cities carved far beneath what the public ever sees. Cheyenne Mountain begins to feel less like a final solution and more like a prototype, a test run for protecting the people who matter most in a crisis. And once you see the cracks in the official story, it's hard not to wonder, if they built all of this for a threat that never came, what have they quietly built for the threats they aren't telling us about? When you put all of this together, a pattern begins to emerge. A mountain built like a fortress. A complex engineered to sustain hundreds of people for months. Entire wings sealed off. Tunnels and chambers that appear in construction records but not on modern maps. Multi-million-dollar upgrades with no clear explanation. And a facility officially described as mostly used. None of it makes sense. Not if Cheyenne Mountain is just a relic, not if it's just a bunker. So you're left with one question, the question no one can answer. Why build all of this if it wasn't meant to protect something or someone? Because when you look at the scale of the complex, the depth, the isolation, the self-sustaining design, it doesn't resemble a simple military command center. It resembles a city, a hidden one, built for a future no one will talk about. And that leads to a darker possibility. What if Cheyenne Mountain wasn't built to protect the country, but to protect a select few from it? A secret evacuation site, a continuity of government shelter, a refuge for people in power when everything above ground fails. If that's true, then the locked wings make sense, the missing tunnels make sense, the unexplained upgrades make sense. For decades, we've looked at Cheyenne Mountain as a Cold War artifact, something built for a war that never happened. But what if it wasn't built for a war? What if it was built for something else entirely? And maybe at the end of the day, none of it matters, because we won't be invited anyway. The world hasn't changed since the Cold War, but the upgrades inside the mountain haven't stopped, which makes you wonder, are they preparing for something?